Welcome back to the show, everybody. We have God versus Etty lined up here for you. This will be the last best of one game before we move into the quarterfinal action. And Etty is someone who I think, it would be an incredible upset if he managed to beat God, but he can be a very flashy player and quite fun to watch sometimes. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know if you have any thoughts, but I don't think you're familiar with Etty. So
well, it is still best of one, so now's the time for an upset to occur over a bigger name, true. And a map like this, if it is campgrounds, which you're seeing now, then that is a map where you really can get like early control and sort of maintain it over a bigger name.
Okay. So I would hope to see an upset. And actually, last week we saw a ridiculous game between Etty and Luke. You know how sometimes we see the games where it's like the players, like they're kind of close, but the decision making is kind of like really bad, and it's like you're like, this is like detracting from the quality of the game.
Sure.
Like me and Strengths were casting a game, and I think it's Etty versus Luke. Then after a while, we were like, they're doing all this crazy stuff, and none of it makes any sense. But actually, it's really fun to watch, even though it wasn't proper draw. But here we go, God versus Etty. God is looking like the massive favorite for this. Such an incredible player. Doing some great results lately, taking down Kula here and there, and Kula's shape is so good at the moment. But if looking at the starts right now, we have definitely Etty coming in on guard. He's got a good advantage, pushing through that choke point, taking some damage here, but going to reposition himself around to the railgun position to try and attack God as he picks it up. Great read from Etty. A lot of good damage going in there. Red coming up soon. Etty's creeping around on the bridge above. Can he see a guard? Where is guard? Drops down for it.
Plenty of time for him to rush through onto this mega health as well. So with those rockets, he should actually have secured it himself. And then without even having to take a kill, he's got full control now, in theory.
And God really recognizing his position from a very early point, which is resigning to the very long ranges with that railgun to deal damage, and just trying to keep himself alive, and not take any damage in return. There's coming in with some great. This is a great angle for God. Really good angles. Look at the damage, and there you go. That just says it all. And God manages to escape with just 2 points of health, but he was really out of control, like heavily outstacked.
Yeah.
But just shows you the power of efficient engagements if you know the angles to find them and the times to find them.
Plus, it actually turned out because he plasmid that specific angle, and Etty rather couldn't just run into the plasma and take all the damage and die. It actually delayed the armor just enough for him to get it.
And now that God is staring down a red armor that's up on the spot, Etty manages to grab it. God's under pressure to deal damage, to nullify it, but he just can't do it. And we have the mega spawning in 18 seconds here as God falls back onto this yellow, which will be very, very soon also. I'm going to replenish some of that health too. So God's in a pretty decent position. They're going to be even after this pickup, and they're going to be looking to try and battle it out over this mega health now. And God is not really going to be able to attack into Etty's position.
Instead, he decides to actually ambush him from behind. And now he's being chased from behind as well. So he's actually probably going to get to this red if he keeps going.
And there you go, there's the pickup for Etty. So Etty's got a huge amount of stack right now. And God has one frag, but on DM6 this can be somewhat meaningless as Etty hits a great long range rail. It's exchanged, but Etty of course going to come way better after even a yellow pickup, but also just the better stack. Great rocket jump, now putting loads of pressure onto God. God is in so much trouble, but look at that. So much trouble, but the rockets are doing a wonderful job in really hurting Etty.
Mega health is going to save Etty here.
And great stuff. So it's good defense from God, but as you say, it's kind of bad timing with the way the items are spawning. But
it was well defensively played initially there, but then obviously, he had to try some wild air rockets that you can't really depend on hitting those.
Etty definitely shows us that he's a very ballsy player. Like, he went for a trick jump with the rocket jump onto the bridge to make the double across to that railgun, and it's pretty hard to consistently do that, but he goes for it anyway, doesn't care. Etty now, he has to defend against God, but God is just pushing in again at bad timing.
Should actually be up now, so it might be possible for God to sneak this. But he didn't know it was there though, that's the thing.
Yep, it shows you a lot to do with like when to take a fight is so important, like in correlation to how the items are spawning. And you'll see a lot of top level players, they all rush. It looks like they're rushing, but it's actually very carefully planned. Like for example, we saw Puri previously. He managed to get control back. He would trade 2 frags, a lot of damage, but every time he did that, all the big items were 20 seconds away, giving him that opportunity later on to get control back. And you have to make sure that you're really thinking about items, and so far
And it also depends whether you're the guy behind as well. If you're behind on kills, then when you've got the 2 main items are going to be a similar time, you can actually afford to take the fight, because if you get the kill, okay, you gain on the lead. And if you lose, you can probably get one of those items depending on where you spawn. And so it's actually a scenario where it's sort of like you don't really have a losing bet on that end. You're still going to be down anyway if you let him get all the items.
Exactly, yeah, and it's really interesting. In fact, it could really write an article about some of this stuff, because it's very important points of theory and how much like frags can actually mean, because I think a lot of weight gets put on them that not necessarily needs to be.
Well, I mean, the frag obviously dictates the score, but actually the actual pace of the game sometimes is not just about the frags. It's about when you get the frags. Like you could get the same score, but it depends when you have it. It'll dictate how your opponent plays that scenario.
Oh, and that was a fantastic drop there. Great work from Guard. Very surprising move straight onto Etty's head there, and out of nowhere, Guard with a really, really nice trap, or ambush rather, was able to just turn things around. That's 1 kill, that's 2 kills, that is some item pickups. All he has to do now...
Like he's actually going to go over for Mega here.
All he has to do is make sure Etty does not deal damage to him.
And now he's giving away reds. And Mega's off, so if Etty runs through, he can actually get Mega here.
Oh, but Etty doesn't know. That's a great bit of damage as well from Guard. He really hit a very strong pixel rail there onto Etty as he was taking that red, so they end up coming away. If Guard can get this yellow armor, he should be able to pretty evenly, but actually Etty's going to go aggressively for this. He knows he's the guy with the stack advantage, and he pulls out the frag, and that is going to be the 5-4 scoreline now as we move into this game. And Etty, could you be making that upset that you're talking about? It's totally possible, but Guard is a very, very strong Campgrounds player historically, so I'd be very surprised if Etty was managing to do this, being considered way more new school than Guard on such an old school map. But here we go, Etty right now, he just noticed that the Mega was indeed stolen away by his opponent, which is really going to hurt his efforts, and that 1 frag advantage at the moment could mean absolutely nothing, but that defensive rocket, perfect, straight in the face of Guard, 100 damage, that changes everything. Now Guard can't be so blasé with his attacks, falls back onto the red again. Etty buys himself some more time to get more items and so on, and he can maybe make a chance for himself. And another great defensive play from Etty.
And now that this armor's good, the armor's still going to be there actually. So now Guard's going to have to go get the Mega, so if Etty goes really quickly, he can at least challenge for this red.
This is great positioning from Etty now. He has a lot of opportunity to deal damage. How's Guard going to deal with it? He's coming in from below. Etty there
doesn't manage to get any damage onto him whatsoever, which is unfortunate, because that was the first real opportunity he had to maybe even up the stacks. And now he's really on the back foot.
Just managing to take him down. Guard taking a lot of damage in the process, but Etty unable to actually do anything more. But look off the spawn, how dangerous it is.
And unfortunately, he doesn't actually benefit with an item though, because he's so low on health. I mean, look, he's probably going to have to give one up here.
Oh, so close. One more cell would have been it. Oh no. Oh my god, if he had only known that they're both spawning at the same time, he could have saved himself there. But that's not the case. Here we go, Guard though. Going to trap Etty, as Etty is just stuck in that position on those stairs. What is he going to do? There's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Guard takes another frag, and that was a lot of time there, just cut away. And I wonder almost if it would have been better just to give up his life to Guard there, in the face of inevitability of his own death. But Guard hitting some great damage.
Away from the armor though.
My
now
goodness.
He can get the Mega as well.
Etty's doing... Oh my god.
Oh no.
Unbelievable. Etty had 2 chances to take items there.
I mean, we've seen in this game so far, initially I thought it was that Guard just had a really good sense for when Etty didn't know when the item was there, knew when to go for the kill instead of the item. But I think actually Etty's just had a really bad timing on any of the items when he hasn't been the one to pick it up, he's always been like a couple of seconds too late to even pick up something he actually had free, So he's missed a couple of reds, he's missed a couple of key Megas there, where he could have stolen a Mega, he could have had a Mega that could have saved him just there, and instead he passed on it.
Oh, but actually Etty with the railgun manages to get a frag onto Guard, as Guard was awaiting that Mega respawn, and there it is. It's a pickup for Etty. Can he make this into a comeback? Can he make this into a huge upset against Guard, the Lithuanian here, as Etty positions himself at this red armor? It's going to be a great spot for him to defend any incoming attack. The Guard is actually going to hang back here, maintain position over at the rocket launcher instead, and he's only got 70 armor, so if Etty can just sneak up and connect some damage with Guard, then it's going to be very, very determining for the next minute or so, as Guard won't have much to work with. He's going to have to take a crazy fight, but Etty finds Guard just chilling there around that corner, and he gets the frag so cleanly as well, and everything's spawning. The only problem is that both big items are spawning at the same time, so this is a guaranteed item for Guard here. He's going to get that red armor, and Etty really needs... I think he should really go for the yellow armor, and then before he makes the next play.
Make another ambush though.
Oh, but
really, really well done.
Amazing from Etty. he takes the lead, and that is the ambush that you're talking about.
I mean, it seems like actually in these last two scenarios, Guard is the one who's tried to kind of play it a bit tricky, but then he's actually been totally, like especially the one that was near over where the plasma is. That was such a weird scenario to get caught completely flush in the back and not have any chance to even get the kill, you know.
And that was great at the start, because like my first reaction at Etty's spot would be to actually, but Guard going aggressively to tie up the game, but I was going to say my first reaction would have been to go for the yellow, and Guard thought that Etty would do the same thing. But instead, Etty with the ambush, really phenomenal play there. Etty has to defend against Guard, and Guard is just relentless with these.
What an unfortunate spawn that was.
Really unfortunate. 1 point
Especially
of health.
with the score.
Oh my god, he has to just kill himself.
The time as well.
He just has to kill himself and get 2 frags. He's just got to imagine that he's looking at a 2 frag deficit there. Amazing.
Party piece shot there just to finish it off.
And that's going to be GG call from Etty, but that was a really good game from him. Definitely a scoreline I wouldn't have expected, and I think Etty.
I mean, he even acknowledges it there. He failed with the item timings.
Yeah,
that really took away his chance of winning, and then also a very unfortunate spawn at the end there to just instantly spawn onto a rocket that's flying at your position, because otherwise he's only 1 behind, so maybe he's spawned somewhere else, he can at least go for the fight, but he's already on the back foot running away there.
Yeah, and I was very surprised by that, because Etty's shown in past FACEIT Cups and in Level 10 Cups and Sunday Cups that he's been someone that's been showing a lot of skill, but it's been quite obvious as well where his the points of his play which are lacking have been, and some of them have been mental, and some of them have been to the more dueling aspects and less about the fighting, because we can see that he's got great fighting skills, and that he knows how to move around the map and stuff like that, and do basic control stuff.
It seemed in some of those scenarios, like it wasn't even that he didn't know, like sometimes he really didn't know when an item had been picked up or when it was about to come, but then in other times it seems like he got caught up too much in the fight. Like if Guard was pressuring that position, he was too busy thinking about like how to dodge, should I go in and out now, whereas he had to keep a bit of his mind on like when the item's coming up, because that was the real key point turning the game, you know.
Yeah, and I feel excited because it's going to be a player that might in the future become someone much better, because he's been improving rapidly. So we've seen a few players like that. We've seen some more names come up, and it's great to see them break through the ranks. Like I think Twister and Demon are 2 of those players that have started to really pull in really good results and started to really improve against the top tier. But the winner, we're doing the next match after this. Of the winner of this match, which was Guard versus Agent. So that's going to be the first huge match of today, and that's going to be a very interesting one. Agent, a very, very interesting player. A lot of people don't really like watching him because he's quite defensive.
Understandable.
But it can be a beautiful thing to watch sometimes. So we'll have that after this break, which we'll go into now. So make sure you tell your friends about this so that they can come and enjoy some Quake Live action as well, and we'll see you right after the break.